Oh my mother, oh my mother, oh my mother family. Sport Maniaticos, we made a commitment and we also did a 2-for-1. Briatore asked for a report on Doohan and to see his performance comparison. We gave him 2 reports, one with telemetry and objective data. One was about Doohan. We already knew he was slower than Gasly, but we discovered another surprise. Do you remember Sport Maniaticos? Problems in low-speed corners, the very same problem they had at Williams, which Franco Colapinto fixed, and Albon copied these setups. Now look at Alpine. It seems late, but they finally got the Sport Maniaticos report. Alpine detects a fault in its wind tunnel that may have slowed its development. It's confirmed, family. This Alpine is having problems. Problems that go back a while. Luckily, it seems they've identified and taken control of them, so that by the time it's Colapinto's moment of maximum splendor, I hope they'll be more or less fixed. It's news that Flavio Briatore, who wants to take the team to the top, certainly won't like. We'll analyze it now because there's a lot to say, as well as regarding the pressure on Doohan. Notice Red Bull's ferocious criticism of Jack Doohan, right in the middle of his fight with Colapinto for the seat at Alpine. This happened like so, in my opinion. Don't take it as reality, but I think Helmut Marko saw the newspaper and said, "How come keyboard warrior?" He saw it again and said, "How come haters?" "That's me. Let me jump into the scene," said our friend Marko, speaking very bluntly. But Marko, before looking outside the barn, check inside your own barn. Because Tsunoda told you something we'll analyze that's quite funny about Red Bull's rejection. It appears it was a political decision. Lots of things have happened today, family. We'll analyze some of them quickly, like Jonathan Wheely or the Madrid circuit. Get ready because here comes the video on Alpine's problems in Formula 1.
Briatore, el tercer informe te lo cobramos ya los Sport Maniáticos, ¿eh? Los 2 primeros eran gratis.
Welcome, Sport Maniaticos, to the Formula 1 section on YouTube. Enjoy and give it a massive like so Alpine can find out about and watch Sport Maniaticos videos and realize things a bit earlier. Because these telemetry issues we saw in low-speed corners were obvious. I love those people who say you can't draw conclusions from testing. Well, that means they're not Sport Maniaticos. Regarding the Madrid circuit, first of all, let's take it easy, family. For the Spanish Grand Prix in Formula 1, it'll be called Madrid, just so you know. They gave it that name. I don't know if it's like Sebring, I'm not sure. But in the end, it won't be called IFEMA. The name doesn't really feel familiar or appealing to me. But anyway, at the end of January, Madrid's mayor, or so it seems, Jose Luis Martinez Almeida, said everything was going according to plan and pointed to April as the month to start building the circuit. We're close to getting news on that. Hopefully, we'll also get news from Argentina soon, and good ones as well. Jonathan Wheely from the Argentina circuit. Jonathan Wheely will take over as Sauber team principal, starting with the Japanese Grand Prix. Another little bombshell, though we already knew about it, just to keep you updated on how things are cooking. As of April 1st, Jonathan Wheely can formally assume leadership of the Sauber team. Remember, he comes from Red Bull, that team that's crumbling. Wheely will arrive in Hinwil to replace Alessandro Aluni Bravi. Both Wheely and Mattia Binotto can coordinate the process that will turn Sauber Motorsport AG into Audi F1. Just so you know, it's expected that Wheely will replicate at Sauber and Audi F1 the successes he enjoyed at Red Bull, where he spent 9 years and enjoyed 6 constructors' titles and 7 drivers' titles. I laugh because some people still doubt Verstappen might leave Red Bull next year. Mamma mia, that's how it's looking. Before the season starts, remember, we're almost there. After free practice 1, free practice 2, free practice 3, etc., you'll have the Sport Maniatico summary. Not necessarily the best, because I don't know which one will be the best. We'll see after checking them all, but I think it'll be one of the best. By the way, I have to thank all the members, as always, who joined Sport Maniaticos, even if just symbolically, because you make me see that we're doing things correctly. Remember, Sport Maniaticos but not Argentina. If you're not in Argentina, Sport Maniaticos. Argentina will show you the price in pesos or something like that. Videos, everyone does it for that reason. But Sport Maniaticos has never been about money. And I want to be clear that I don't do live streams because I don't want to. Actually, it's because the quality of the video afterward drops. I've tested it. So what I'm going to do, I'll try. I'm not promising to keep doing it for a long time. Is at least for qualifying and race sessions, make a members-only live stream. So we can be there as a family. While I'm taking screenshots for the summary, etc., I'll read the chat and we can talk about anything. Like family. I think that might be nice. And as I say, it's symbolic. Just $1. For anyone who wants to do it, you can. It's half a coffee in Argentina. It's just so it doesn't become a massive open live stream because it won't be set up for a professional broadcast. It'll be among family while I'm taking screenshots and doing things so I can bring you the best summary afterward. And I'll stop with this because I'm rambling. My aim is always to leave everything well documented so that when I'm a grandpa, well, I'm halfway there, but when I'm a double grandpa, I can go on Sport Maniaticos and say, free practice one of the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, the year Colapinto debuted. Play. There you go. All right. We won't make that much money, but I know that in the long run, this will be better. Thanks to everyone. To the new members, Nico Herrera, Jonathan Palacios, Tenrayon, Javier Robledo, Juan Garuba, Ivan Saider, Maximiliano Colombo, who's not Maximiliano Verstappen, Jose Antonio, Daniel Sopi, Damian Gonzalez, Martín Rosales, Iván Gómez, Nico, Carla De Martino, Lucas Mazue, Javi, Javier Petruccio, Adalberto, Luis Cruces, and Javier Morandi. Noted not all of them are actually new. Some are rejoined, meaning they've resuscitated. Alberto, how many are there? 200,000 euros a month. Sure you wish. Anyway, with that, we can delve into the subject. Many thanks to all of you. Even if it's just $1, I feel the good vibes and that we're doing things well. We'll keep going. Alpine detects a fault in its wind tunnel that may have slowed its development. If you're a sport maniatico, like with most of our daily news, then you already know where this is headed. But listen, Haas, be surprised. Life is better when you allow yourself to be surprised. Hasn't that ever happened to you? It happens to me every day. Alpine starts a new season intending to consolidate and so on, and they found a technical error that limited their progress. What happened? Well, Briatore arrived. Not that Briatore discovered it, but just as he turns up, they spot something. He must be doing something right. In the midst of this context, Alpine discovered a flaw in the correlation of data from its wind tunnel, a key tool in the aerodynamic development of its cars. Alberto. I've only been following Formula 1 for 3 minutes, and I don't know what a wind tunnel is. I'll explain, don't worry, but first subscribe if you've been here 3 minutes and haven't yet. Kidding aside, the wind tunnel is something very basic because that's where the flows of wind are tested by crashing them against the car, and you gather data and parameters you hope will match reality. The technology is very advanced, but in Formula 1, everything is measured in thousands, and whoever manages to make the wind tunnel match reality best is the one who wins. In recent years, where aerodynamics was critical, there were years when the engine with Mercedes was overwhelming. Now, we're in this aero era. We don't know how 2026 will be, but it will still be very important aerodynamically. One proof? Aston Martin. That's why they built their new wind tunnel, to reach the top in Formula 1. You can see that even if you only have 3 minutes of F1 experience, whoever wins isn't pure luck. There's a lot of work, sacrifice, and investment behind it. That's what Alpine realized. They thought they had data that correlated better with reality, but it doesn't. What does that mean? Let me put it in a very folksy, rough way. If you position the rear wing a certain way, and the wind goes this way, you might lose, say, 13 points of deflection, losing maybe 4% downforce. I'm making that up, but in reality, it's 7%. No? Maybe you haven't said 20, but the difference between 4% and 7% might be a tenth per lap. Don't take it literally, but that's roughly how it works. It's extremely important. Also, wind tunnel hours aren't free like Helmut Marko's criticisms. They cost time, not money, time. We know that Formula 1 introduced a limit on wind tunnel hours, so you can't go above what's permitted. Keep in mind, not all teams have the same number of hours. Alpine has more than Red Bull, but fewer than Sauber, because it depends on your previous season's finishing position in the championship. The higher you finish, the fewer hours in the wind tunnel, etc. If you want more details, let me know, even if there are only 4 of you and the video has 1,000 views. It doesn't matter. I'll explain all the percentages, no problem. Leave me a couple of comments like that. In the midst of this context, Alpine discovered a fault in the wind tunnel data correlation, that crucial aerodynamic development tool for its single-seaters. This problem went unnoticed and may have limited their evolution in recent seasons. What's happened in recent seasons up to now at Alpine? Well, Franco Colapinto arrived. Did they realize this because of Colapinto? No, that'd be giving him too much credit. Who discovered it? Obviously not Colapinto. He doesn't even have the car keys yet. Let's see if they give them to him. He'll notice things then. The one who discovered it is Briatore, obviously. Let's be serious. If they've spent years like that, and Briatore shows up and slams his credentials on the table saying, "That's enough nonsense, enough with watching Captain Tsubasa," or whatever, out of nowhere they notice something. Even if Luca De Meo tells you so, it's very likely that someone else found it. Luca De Meo, CEO of Alpine, revealed on the Starting Grid podcast that the wind tunnel error was detected recently, which partly explains the lack of major gains in terms of performance. Even though the problem is supposedly fixed, and that's good news, there's still concern, especially looking at the 2026 regulations. If they're worried about 2026, that means it's not really all fixed yet. The wind tunnel lets teams analyze stability, downforce, and drag in various conditions, optimizing the car's performance in every corner and on every straight. A flaw in this tool can lead to inaccurate data, directly affecting the car's development and competitiveness. Given all that, now in 2025, Alpine faces a key moment. Why? Because they need the best testers to gather the best data with a tool. That isn't fully accurate. I don't know if that's what happened to Williams last year, and Albon ended up copying the low-speed setups. We'll see. It smells the same to me. Despite these recent challenges, Alpine approaches the season with optimism. Why? Because they finished 2024 well. They haven't changed the chassis, probably because they had a good, let's call it flex or something, until race 9, at which point the new rule about flex will change all that. I think that's why. They figure by race 9, they won't be flexing so much per the new regulations. The point is, we realized that the car for Colapinto in the future doesn't look like it'll have a 2025 season like the end of 2024, when it stood out so much. They say the preseason tests in Bahrain left positive feelings for the team, but I'd say it's not so positive if you're slower than Williams when you finished last season as the best midfield team. If my company were Alpine, my goal to feel optimistic would be to slip in among the leaders. That's not going to happen. I can tell by telemetry. What has happened is that Williams has jumped ahead, obviously. We analyzed it in Sport Maniaticos in the telemetry and in low-speed corners. There's a difference there. Doohan is not going to get close, in my opinion. And as for Gasly, we'll see. I like Gasly. He's a great driver. Dude, Gasly, you gotta do an Alonso-like performance. It's going to be fun at the start of the season. They say there are still doubts about their true position on the grid. Oliver, check the Sport Maniaticos report and you'll know, because in 20 races you'll say, the solution was Colapinto giving setups to Gasly, no need. Sport Maniaticos is already telling you what's going to happen. They say, although the immediate priority is to improve in 2025, Alpine is already working with an eye on 2026, when the new regulations come in and they'll change engine suppliers, opting for Mercedes, as if the current instability at Alpine weren't enough. Now you're also changing engines. What's going to happen? Good thing Briatore has arrived, I'll tell you that straight up, because otherwise I'd be losing faith in Alpine's approach right now. I'm just being honest with you all. Meanwhile, Doohan is under constant pressure. That's the way it is. I don't know if Helmut Marko will be called keyboard warrior or hater, but I'll tell you, if someone calls him that, he won't care at all, as we say around here. Helmut is like the sport maniaticos. You can say whatever you want, but respectfully. Red Bull's ferocious criticism of Jack Doohan in the middle of the fight with Colapinto for the Alpine seat. Great, as if we didn't have enough going on. Helmut Marko, the veteran advisor to the Austrian team, labeled the Australian driver as Category C. There you go, Helmut, man. Seriously, I'm sure you regret not having Checo Perez around to dump all this on. It wasn't necessary. When Checo was there, you piled everything on him. Now what? You can't just leave the trash at home. You have to toss it out. But that's fine. As long as Helmut Marko is around, it's the same as always. Helmut Marko thought Checo. And the day we don't have Helmut Marko, what will become of Formula One without someone who speaks like this and gets called a hater? Who says, yep, I'm a hater. Take it. This is Helmut Marko at 81 years old. That's quite something. He's at the pinnacle of motorsports journalism, so to speak, in Formula One or Servus TV, which is not exactly his TV station or media outlet, but almost, because he always talks. He says, I'd classify him as a B-level driver. That's Marko's style. He loves stirring things up. He's a very intelligent driver. He won the Formula 3 championship, but with only one victory and usually stays out of trouble, he says. In Formula 2, he only managed 2 wins. He's a driver who brings the car home safe and sound. He has a good command of strategy and tire management, but I don't see that raw speed. He was referring to Bortoleto, the young Brazilian driver who won the championship. Even though he acknowledged some strength in the athlete, he also made clear he doesn't see him as a future contender. Then he was even more blunt regarding the Australian Doohan, calling him Category C, saying, I don't think he'll finish the season. So basically, he puts Bortoleto in Category B, which I somewhat disagree with. I think Bortoleto will silence a lot of people. And those who've watched F2 won't be surprised. Just like with Colapinto, who's silenced plenty. Too bad he won't have a very good car. Anyway, Helmut says he's Category C. I don't think he'll finish the season, says Helmut. And he remains cool as ever. And he's not even looking at what's happening at home, because Tsunoda is giving him a big slap in the face. But wait, there's more. He says, Oli, whom I consider top level, showed last year his speed and consistency in the chances he got, both with Haas and Ferrari. He's a level A driver, very fast, but he had many accidents in F2 and F3 because he takes a lot of risks. He operates on the limit. It also happened in F1 at Monza. He might not reach the top as quickly as Antonelli, but he's definitely an high-level driver. Here, Marko, known for his frankness and critical view, didn't include any comments about Isaac Hadjar, a driver in Red Bull's development program. Now, keep in mind that's what he says about, it seems he's commented on everyone. He also mentioned Antonelli, who he put in level A as well. As I was saying, one of the big prospects. He clearly pointed out that Antonelli is a level A driver. Despite being under huge pressure, his performance is amazing, having completed more than 10,000 kilometers in testing. And how many has Colapinto done? Although he's had 2 major accidents, you can see the pressure is affecting him. Toto Wolff wants to replicate Verstappen's story at Mercedes, but going straight to a top team is going to be a challenge for him. And it's true. We hadn't looked at it that way, but they're doing the Verstappen strategy, coming straight to Red Bull. Well, I was at Barcelona for his first victory in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Marko has high expectations for his protege Luis H, who debuts this year. H lost the championship by only 4 or 5 points. Our data analysts say he lost around 80 points due to technical problems and other issues, so he's very fast. I'd say if he keeps developing well and learns to control his emotions, he also has the potential to be a level A driver. It makes me laugh because we know Hadjar is very short-tempered. Anyway, Helmut is basically throwing a little favor toward Colapinto, in my view, by piling pressure on Doohan, strong pressure like that of a keyboard warrior fused with a hater like Goku. Hence, Helmut Marko calls him a category C driver, and if you call Helmut a hater, he won't care. That's how he is. So what about Tsunoda on Red Bull's rejection? It seems it was a political decision. Meanwhile, he's ignoring what's happening at home. And Tsunoda's basically saying, dude, look at your own house, you haven't cleaned. This is a daily drama series and we're just starting the Formula 1 season. Tsunoda says, I still want that Red Bull seat at some point, but the decision they made is on them, not me. He's putting pressure on them just like Colapinto is. I'm here too, and I might also jump in mid-season, he must be thinking. Take the blue pill, stay at Faenza a couple more years, take the red pill, and you go to Red Bull. But that might end sooner. He laughs. That's what Tsunoda says when Motorsport asks him this metaphorical question, a hybrid of Marco and Morpheus, while we sit in the Racing Bull's hospitality during preseason testing in Bahrain. He laughs, then gets serious and says, 100% the red pill. Clearly, he wants to go to Red Bull, and he hasn't taken kindly to any of what happened. He says he got 3 calls from Helmut, Christian, and Laurent before the announcement. He remembers Helmut calling first. So yeah, that's how I found out. Helmut gave me the final decision, he says. I mean, there's no point complaining, blah, blah, blah. I just said, oh, yes, I get it. Good luck. Basically, that's all. I mean, I have to keep doing what I'm doing. My mindset isn't changing. I still want that Red Bull seat at some point, but that's up to them, not me. Tsunoda says he didn't really ask for more detail. Christian Horner reportedly said it wasn't about performance. Others say it was political. Who knows? Maybe Christian didn't mention the reason, but Tsunoda doesn't care. He'll just carry on. Because we all saw it. He was faster. Sport Maniaticos also showed it with telemetry. Like he said, anyway, no worries, they'll realize the mistake and they'll put me in mid-season. I'll pull a Colapinto. Then he says maybe he's heard a couple of things from other people about why. He can't believe it's because of performance. There has to be another reason. That's how it is. Honestly, he was prepared for it, though things didn't go as he wanted. He was already mentally ready not to lose total control, so Tsunoda sensed this coming. You know, there are contracts, Honda, a million other factors. We don't even know if Lawson is the best choice, but we'll see starting in Australia. Same with Doohan. We've already seen some things about Doohan in testing, less so about Lawson. Tsunoda says, I'm just focusing on the future, trying to be a more complete driver overall. I don't want to give them or any other team a reason to say, oh, you're not good at this or that, so we won't take you. Tsunoda is sure about it. It's not his fault. And he ends with this. I'm definitely motivated. I think this year I'll have a more defined role in terms of leadership. Last year, at the beginning of the season, it was 50-50, probably leaning a bit toward Daniel regarding who was seen as the team leader. But I managed to change that image during the season. By the end, they were already starting to see me as the leader. And this year, there's no other experienced driver in the team. So the team will rely more on me, Tsunoda says. It seems he has more responsibility. So I want to reinforce that image within the team. I want to help not just get performance out of the car, but also guide the general direction of the team and establish that leadership status. That's my main goal for this year. I want to show that to everyone in the paddock, not just my team. You see, Tsunoda told Motorsport plenty. That helps us understand how he feels at the start of the season, because Tsunoda will play a key role. We all know what might happen with Lawson, and it's highly likely. Family, leave me your comments on all of this, especially not just on what Helmut Marko said about Doohan, but also on the technical stuff. That's what interests me. I love the technical side. I love to see them step on the gas. I love the competition. And what about Alpine detecting a fault in its wind tunnel? Family, do you think Colapinto should jump in now to optimize this car as much as possible? I think he should.